An advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
And welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you, alongside former NFL coach K. Stevenson on this Tuesday afternoon. Coach, starting to feel a little mild outside, almost like spring. You know, that means spring football is upon us, as a lot of NCAA teams have started spring practice. Some high school teams maybe started spring practice so far. But, Coach, first things first, how are you doing today, my friend?
Doing well. Look forward to each and every day. So much going on. And, you know, especially right now, it's amazing in the football world when you think about that we've just gotten in college all of the recruiting done, and some of them are on campus now as early entry type students. Spring training is coming up for everybody, and that's huge, especially this year with a number of teams which we could get into. We won't right now. But and then of course in pro football we got the XFL going on full speed mid-season. We've got the combine going on. We'll have the draft coming up, which is going to be huge. We've got some great free agent moves in place, and where's Tom Brady going to go? 4 or 5 other quarterbacks. Where are they going to go? And with the top quarterbacks coming into the draft, think about it. There's going to be an awful lot of quarterback movement in the National Football League. So just an awful lot to stay on top of and talk about, and it changes daily. And I think it's a good opportunity to maybe dig down in the weeds on some of these things.
Yeah, Coach, that's a great point here. When you talk about this free agency this offseason, it may be one of the craziest of all time, just because you have guys that, well, like Tom Brady, that have never been on the market before. We just never thought this day would come, it almost seems like, and it seems like it could be more real than ever now that Tom Brady may be leaving New England. Now, once again, this is all speculation. I mean, we talk about it every day, Coach. It's our Tom Brady tracker. Now, this is exactly kind of what we expect. With Tom Brady, we're hearing sources that are saying, yeah, hey, well, you know what, New England's getting something together where he's going to stay. Then we hear, well, the Tennessee Titans are a favorite. That it seems like it could be more real. And then also reading today as well, the Titans seem like they're set on Ryan Tannehill, Coach. This is a couple things here. A.J. Brown came out and they asked him about getting Tom Brady or Ryan Tannehill. And he said, listen, Tannehill was our quarterback this year. I like him. He did a great job. You know, I've got a rapport with him. But for Tom Brady to come to Tennessee, he goes, to get to play with him, that's Tom Brady. That would be insane. Why would we not love that? So, Coach, in this whole Tom Brady thing, and what you've heard lately as well, just the rumor mills and the stories and things, the articles we read as well, Coach, we're still right where we started in this.
Well, I have to jump to a couple of things that I've heard. I'm picking up on the, between the lines. I think Tennessee desperately wants Brady. As I've said here for the last week or so, I think Tennessee is the leader in the clubhouse right now. And yes, New England would like to have him back, I'm sure, if you ask Kraft and you ask some other people involved in that football team. But again, getting talent to surround him with is not like going out to the tree and picking it off the tree. It's just, where do you go get it? And we're talking about productive talent. You realize if you bring a rookie in, you know how long it's going to take some of these receivers to get used to Brady and what he expects on the routes within the pattern, the adjustments, and so on. It takes a long time. You can't just do it coming to camp. You don't have enough time in camp, and not enough work time, especially as they tend to cut things shorter and shorter. It's going to hurt those people more. In this case, it's going to hurt. It would hurt the Patriots because I don't know where they go other than stepping out and drafting, and their draft picks aren't that great. But now, granted, this is a good draft for receivers, so they probably could get one there. But you still got to get where you're going to get tight end. They got to sign a free agent tight end, and there are a couple of them out there that maybe they can get one. But they got to get some legitimate receivers and a tight end. And where do you go find the best offensive line coach in football who just retired? And another offensive lineman. They really need two, but one would certainly help. So I just don't know where they're going to go get it, JP. I mean, yes, I think they'd like to, but I think they made an effort last year, which probably turned Belichick off more than ever when he brought Brown in, and of course he had the other kid there. I'm trying to think of his name. Had to let them both go.
Josh Gordon.
So at any rate, it doesn't. I don't think it looks real good for New England. I think it looks better for maybe Tennessee. I still think there are possibly three teams in the running as Tennessee, the Colts, and the dark horse here is Dallas.
Yeah, Coach, I agree. And the one thing I will say is when we look at the free agent market, and I'll get into this a little bit later, but, Coach, Scarnecchia is the offensive line coach that retired there, and a lot of people don't realize how important that was. We're talking about moving forward with a dominant offensive line that it seemed like Brady has always had. And with them having to go replace offensive linemen, well, that's all well and good. But, Coach, I guess one of the under-the-radar type moves was Scarnecchia retiring. People look at that and they go, well, coaches retire all the time. Coach, how important was Scarnecchia's retirement to the Patriots?
Well, a few years ago, and I don't remember exactly what year, but he retired previously. And they fell off so drastically in the offensive line. I think the sacks went up. Everything went down as far as statistics are concerned and their productivity. And Belichick went to him and talked him into coming back. And they, of course, revamped their offensive line and got back to the type play up front that you would expect from a championship team. But that was him getting Scarnecchia to come back. That won't happen this time. Scarnecchia's reached the age where he's not going to come back, and so they're going to have to go in another direction. Where do you find somebody with that experience, with that rapport with the players, and get things across and provide the production and the adjustments needed each week? I don't know. I just don't. Well, I do know. I do know you can't do it.
That's well said, Coach. When you look at this, you talk about that dark horse team, the Dallas Cowboys, and we always seems to pop up. We waited on Jerry Jones to say something, and he really hasn't. The only thing that Jerry Jones has come out and said is, listen, Dak Prescott isn't going anywhere with the mechanisms at the team's disposal right now. Of course, Amari Cooper came out, and they met with both of them, Amari and Dak, the other day. And look, Jerry's basically said, we want to get a deal done, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And if we have to tag both of these guys, we will. But, Coach, when you look at Dak Prescott, in $33 million a year, at $105 million guaranteed money, which is a great deal for him. You know, I know everybody has their own opinions on things, of course, so, you always got to get your money, but $105 million guaranteed in this contract, it almost seems like it works out perfect for everybody. One thing I will say, Coach, and we've talked about this before, you brought this up the other day, the free agent market now, when you're talking about what's out there, if Dak wants to go test those waters, he may be a little surprised because you've got guys like Phillip Rivers, Teddy Bridgewater, even Jameis Winston. You've got young quarterbacks coming out when you're talking about Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Tua. The list goes on. I mean, I can name Jacob Eason, Jake Fromm, Jordan Love. I mean, once again, we've got 5 guys that could.
First 5 in the first round.
Right.
Okay? They're going to play. And then look at the ones coming out. And plus, you haven't even we haven't talked about the Tennessee quarterback.
Ryan Tannehill.
Tannehill. Looks like he could be out on the market. So, there's going to be a flood of quarterbacks out there. This is something I've not heard anybody really talk about how this is going to affect the National Football League. But look at it and count them. And I don't think we've ever seen anything like this before. We're talking about people that can play. We're not talking about just free. Yeah, you can count up free agents before, and you've had, we can name them all. You've had them in the Fitzgeralds and the so on. You've had them all over the league. But nothing to this extent where you've got this many quality quarterbacks who can play and play well that are going to be out there on the market.
Yeah, playing immediately. That's the difference there. It's not a guy you have to bring in that you would have to wait around on if you wanted to. These are guys that are ready to go, ready to get amped up. But, Coach, I think it's interesting there. That's one thing that you brought up before, Dak Prescott. Just be careful because if you enter that market, it may not be what you get. You may not get what you think. So $33 million, though, for the $105 million guaranteed, that's a pretty good deal for him. I also want to remind people, our studio line is 850-623-1330. You can call or text that line. Maybe you have a different opinion. We're just kind of interested to see what you hear out there. And, what is on your mind when you're talking about NFL free agency, from the Tom Brady issues to anything going on in football? That's what we want to hear. We want to hear from our listeners out there. Coach, I want to move on to something else here. Tua has been medically cleared to resume football activities, and his pro day is scheduled for April 9th and 10th. Now, we kind of had a feeling this was going to happen anyway from everything we had heard already, but Tua getting cleared now. Well, he's got a little over a month to get himself ready for his pro day. Well, today is a month. Coach, when you look at this for Tua, it seems like it's business as usual. We go back to this, and I know we'll talk about the draft boards and everything like that, but Tua getting medically cleared, is this just the next step in the process here, or is there some significance to this?
No, I don't think there's any special significance. I think this was part of the process. He had to get a clearance of sorts. But now keep in mind, there are 32 teams, and all 32 teams have their own medical teams, if you will, or medical groups that they rely on totally. They put total trust into them. Not that they don't accept maybe opinions from other medical groups, but the final decision is going to be made by their people. So whatever they put out on Tua yesterday is a step in the right direction. But that final okay or final judgment is going to be made by each team's medical group. And I would tell you that chances are, out of the 32 teams, probably half of them, 16 maybe, are still going to have some questions. But we'll see. I mean, we're going to see fairly quick now. But if he can come back, I think the next big step for him is to have a very successful pro day on campus when he has that. And if that's done properly and the attending medical people see it and are satisfied, then he'll get an okay and he'll be off and running. I personally think he's going to be okay, and I certainly hope and pray he's going to be okay. I want to see this kid play in the National Football League.
Yeah, Coach, we all hope the best for Tua, and what's happened to him was crazy. Just I remember watching that game. I was in a parking lot watching it on my phone, waiting to go do something there, and it was just crazy to see him go down because he was kind of before that game. We forget it was a game-time decision, and it had come out that Tua had convinced Saban to let him play. And, of course, Saban took a ton of criticism for that. But there's a special relationship with those two. And look, if Tua is healthy, why not go out there and play? What happened was a freak accident. That's the one thing we have to remember on that. Not to throw blame on Saban or anything like that. And it's just, I've went back and forth in that situation. But if a guy is healthy and he's as dynamic as him, and remember, Mississippi State, I know they weren't great, but it's still an SEC opponent. And not to mention that Tua, if he's healthy, he's going to be out there anyway. It's just the type of player he is, and that's what we love about him, is just the tenacity that he has. Coach, I want to talk about one more quarterback before we go to break here. The Carolina Panthers are bringing back quarterback Kyle Allen on a one-year deal. Now, Cam Newton was injured this year. Kyle Allen came in, started off hot, really hot, did a great job, and then he kind of fell off and came back to reality here. When you see Kyle Allen being signed to a one-year deal, Coach, when I look at this, I wonder, is Kyle Allen the real deal? Well, I think Carolina is saying the same thing, signing him to a one-year deal. Personally, Coach, when I look at Kyle Allen, there's a lot of upside there. Now, you've got a new coaching staff that's in there. You got Joe Brady in there as a passing game coordinator running that offense as well. Matt Rule's the new coach there. It's a new, almost a new feel for the Carolina Panthers with Ron Rivera gone. Coach, my question to you, seeing all these quarterbacks play at the highest level as well as yourself, do you think Kyle Allen could be the guy over Cam Newton in Carolina?
Well, I think it has more to do with who beats out whom in Carolina as opposed to some of the other factors involved, like Cam Newton's health, his degree of cooperation with this new group, whether they feel comfortable with him with them. Those things are going to take precedence. Regardless of what happens. Now they're smart to sign Allen back because at least they know something about him. He has played, and the players there have seen him play and play well at times. But I don't think he can replace what they want in the way of a quarterback. You know the ironic thing about this? Think about it. If they had their wish, what quarterback would they wish for, and what quarterback would fit perfectly in Carolina?
I'm going to go with Joe Burrow.
You got it. You got it. Brady just did miracle work with him at LSU. He's now over there. He would come in knowing his system, complete confidence in your coaching and the coaching with him. Would be a marriage made in heaven, but whether that could ever happen, the chance of that ever happening, I don't see, because I don't think Carolina has enough equity to attempt to move up and get that unless they gave away half their team in their whole draft. I don't know. But anyway, it's food for thought.
Well, Coach, my question on that, too, when I look at this is the coaching staff changing, Matt Rule coming in, a lot of people with Matt Rule and Joe Brady. If you're on the outside looking in, you go, well, why did you bring two college guys in here? Well, these are guys that have NFL experience. Matt Rule being an offensive line coach in the NFL and Joe Brady running the passing game with none other than New Orleans Saints. And what a great job with Drew Brees there as well. Coach, when you look at the coaching staff changes here, do you like the move that Carolina made, first off, in the coaching staff, and do you like their future ahead with these two guys? Do you trust them, I guess is what I'm saying here.
Well, I think as Carolina fans, you have to. And do I think it was a good move? Again, I really am. I almost have to preface everything by saying, unless I had a lot more information and a lot more insight and knew him. I don't know Rule, don't know him at all, don't know Brady. But I do know something about him, or at least I've heard quite a few good things. What I've heard has been good. I think overall, based on what I've heard, this has to be a positive move for Carolina. I think they'll do a good job over there. I think Rule certainly will have their ear, and they'll do a good job. Brady, of course, was quite an interesting move for a young guy like that, but to go ahead and put him in there. But his credentials, having done what they did in LSU this year, gives him instant credibility. So, yes, I think they're going to do a good job at Carolina. That may take us some time because they've got a lot of rebuilding to do. And starting with the question you just asked me before about the quarterback. I don't know who their quarterback is. I don't know that they know who their quarterback is right now. And boy, that's a bad feeling in the National Football League when you don't know who your quarterback is.
Yeah, it's once again going to be interesting. They got some good young receivers there, and of course, the star running back, Christian McCaffrey. It's good when you have a guy like that, which is a utility knife that you can go to at any time. But I think it's going to be a good move. Once again, I think they got to shore up that defense, and they got to bring some energy. I mean, we saw the team, the roster's not terrible. They just got a lot of guys that just seem to fall off as the year went on, and just a lot of boneheaded plays when you really look at it. But listen, we're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to go over a little bit about Todd McShay's mock draft, maybe some things we would change as well. The franchise tag deadline has moved, and the Cowboys and Steelers are playing in the Hall of Fame game in August. You're listening to Talk Football with Coach K here on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Hey, cybercriminals stole the W-2 forms from my friend's company.
Yeah, scammers impersonate CEOs in email and also launch attacks from compromised accounts.
What if they target us?
Don't worry. We have Barracuda Total Email Protection.
So we're secured?
Yes. Barracuda protects businesses of all sizes with artificial intelligence that blocks spear phishing, account takeover attempts, and business email compromise.
That's a relief.
Protect your business at Barracuda.com. Barracuda, your journey secured.
His football career started as a quarterback at Pensacola High. It culminated as the coach of the Buffalo Bills. Now, Coach K. Stevenson talks football every day at noon on Talk Football with Coach K.
Kareem Hunt got pulled over last week for speeding.
This guy's been in trouble over and over and over again. Now, if they get him out of this, he will get in trouble again.
Noon to 1, weekdays on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You can watch Coach K talk football live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL coach K. Stevenson on this Tuesday afternoon. We are talking some football with you as usual. Remember, our studio line is 850-623-1330. You can call or text that line no matter what's on your mind. Let us know. Anything football, we're here for you. Love to hear from you. Coach, I want to go back to something we've talked about a little bit as the draft seems to inch closer. Todd McShay, of course, releasing his latest draft, or his mock draft, I should say. Going over a couple things here, just some picks. This is interesting how this is going to play out because certain guys, of course, post-combine seem to be falling, moving forward here. It's just interesting how this is going to play out. Well, Todd McShay, of course, I think no surprise, has the number 1 overall pick to the Cincinnati Bengals. Brace yourself, Joe Burrow. Coach, when we look at this Joe Burrow, it's a no-brainer. And if you're Cincinnati, we hear rumors of possible trade up to get Joe Burrow. If you're Cincinnati, what's the breaking point of where you would trade that number 1 pick? Is there any trading? And when you're talking about a guy like Joe Burrow that could be your franchise quarterback for the next 10 years, and if you truly feel that way, you've got to go with him here, right?
Sure. The only way that could ever happen is if someone broke the bank, and I don't know that any one team has enough in the bank to offer them. It may take a combination of teams. I don't know. This is probably as sure a number 1 pick as we've seen in a long time. And he's right there. Remember now, he's from an area not too far from Cincinnati. His family, and he's just the ideal guy. I hope that they've got things turned enough in Cincinnati that they're going to be able to continue to surround him with good people. I do know in this draft it's going to be very deep with receivers. They have a couple of good receivers at Cincinnati. Could always use another, certainly as good as some of these young kids are. And 2 with the offensive linemen. I think there's 7 tackles that people feel can step in and play right away. So that's a no-brainer. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow.
Coach, I do want to mention something about just before after this break here, we're going to be breaking down the Florida Gators. A lot of interesting things to talk about with them, with their upcoming season and what they've had this past year, and recruiting as well, how everything's going to break down. I just want to put that out there for people. For any Gator fans be sure to tune in to our next segment as we're coming back. Coach, number 2 here, Washington Redskins. This has been the big drama. And now, before, this was the Detroit Lions at number 3, and this has moved up. Now, Daniel Snyder, this is a report that Daniel Snyder has told Ron Rivera, here's the keys. You go make the decision. Now, you take that for whatever it's worth. Daniel Snyder's made quite a few mistakes. But when you look at this, Todd McShay has Chase Young, the defensive end out of Ohio State, going number 2 here. Now, this is also Ron Rivera has come out and said, well, all things are on the table here. We may take Tua if we like him. Coach, what do you see happening here? When you have a first-round pick in Dwayne Haskins like they did the year before, surely they don't waste another pick on Tua, or do they need to?
Well, you know how I feel about that. We won't go over it again. I think you're wasting a pick there. Some way, somehow, you've subtracted a number 1 pick if you do that. Now, Chase Young is supposed to be once in a lifetime pass rusher. You got to have both. You got to have a quarterback. You got to have a pass rusher. I think, based on the way the kid played the last 4 ball games of the year, there's enough to give you hope, especially with the people that you're bringing in. You got to have a lot of confidence in your staff, your coaching staff. But if he's got confidence in his offensive coordinator, and in particular the quarterback coach, maybe both, or one may be the same. But if he has enough confidence there, then he's gonna stay with that number 1 pick last year, Haskins, and pick up the pass rusher. That's what I'm almost certain would happen. Now, with him talking about possibly taking Tua, that's wise to do that. It's wise to do that because you're creating interest in somebody maybe feeling they have to move up to number 2 to get Tua. Somebody that's only 1 or 2 behind. And look at Miami sitting there with a jackpot. They've got a ton of picks. They could afford to if they want to make that move up to number 2. Now you've got to think about, how can I make this deal and still get the pass rusher? And there would be maybe a way to do that.
Yeah, it's. I'm with you, Coach. I'm mixed. I got mixed signals on this. When you look at this, Look, Tua is an awesome quarterback. If everything works out for him, he could be a dynamic guy for years to come. You wonder about the injuries as well, but if you're getting a clean bill of health, you're getting a clean bill of health. Then again, you're absolutely right. Chase Young is a guy that it seems that everybody is saying is once in a lifetime pick here at defensive end. Just a dominant, pure dominant rusher, makes everybody else around him better because of the focus that he demands. With Washington, I mean, you have a good problem almost when you look at it. With Dwayne Haskins, though, I do want to say this, and I've stuck up for him. Not an Ohio State guy, but just purely from an athlete's perspective, he did not get a fair shake at Washington last year with the horrible, horrible offensive line, the coaching problems, the decisions being made. And like you said, though, the last 4 games, the young man played awesome, played as well as you could for what he was put there with. And let's remember, they have one receiver, Terry McLaurin. That's their only guy. I struggle to remember his name, Coach. Mm-hmm. They had so many injuries, and it's unfair for the young man with all that he went through. I almost feel like all the drama that goes with it and people saying he can't play quarterback is purely because of what the media put on him. But, nobody wanted him, this and that. So he had a bad rap coming into this whole season. And, Coach, so that's where I still believe Dwayne Haskins, he deserves a shot. But put him in a situation where he can at least try to perform there, because what he had to go through last year was just rough. I do want to move on to the Detroit Lions, Coach. I think it's a no-brainer here with Jeff Okudah, the corner at Ohio State. Darius Slay seems to be on the trading block for Detroit. They're trying to get some more picks or some more players for a guy like Darius Slay, who is one of the top corners. But is Jeff Okudah, is that a no-brainer at this point, or?
Yeah, there's plenty of brain work that should go into that. That certainly wouldn't come under the classification of a no-brainer to me. Mm-hmm. I think you could get corners. You don't have to spend a draft choice that high to get a corner. I just do not believe it. In fact, Sid Gilman, now this may be off the other end, okay? Sid Gilman never drafted a corner, and he had some of the best corners in the old AFL, Speedy Duncan and others. He never drafted a corner. He got them free agents. All of them were free agents. Never drafted one, and had all pros. I'm not sure that I would go that far. I think they're good, excellent corners, but not to draft of the 3rd pick. No, I would not draft a corner with the 3rd pick. Now, if nothing else, well, what a great place to trade and get some additional players there. And that's what I think they should look for in Detroit, is to get those extra players right there, because somebody will move up and take that position. Think about this now. Let's say Burrow goes number 1, and Washington takes the pass rusher from Ohio State. Now there's Detroit sitting there with Tua on the board, and with a couple of other very high, possibly 1st or 2nd picks in the draft in the other year. Somebody, especially with Tua, now if somebody wants Tua, all they got to do is move up to the 3rd spot to get Tua. So then, and they could get an awful lot for that pick. That to me would be the coup de grace for Detroit. But again, that's me. I put a lot of stock in draft picks and maneuvering these draft picks to get the best people. There are only so many ways of talent procurement available to you in the National Football League, and boy, you better make the most of it every time you get a chance.
Yeah, Matt Patricia better figure out the situation as well. His time is running thin, and that rebuild that they've done, it seems like every year they almost move back.
Here, let me give you an example. Let's say you got the greatest corner in the world. There have been some corners, they call them, they take away anybody, okay? Lockdown corners, whatever name you want to put on it. You go out offensively, and against that corner, you've got him out there. You've drafted him with the 3rd pick. And you go in a ball game, and they never throw a pass his way. And he's played the whole ball game. It does not have a soil on his jersey or pants. Had even hit the ground. Now, a little bit different with a running back, a receiver, a quarterback, an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, linebacker. A lot of difference, and then that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's a good point, Coach. When you look at this, one guy, of course, Bill Polian came on and said Isaiah Simmons, the outside linebacker of Clemson. This is a guy that's a hybrid guy. He said that he's the steal of the draft. I mean, listen, he ran a 4.39. A 39-inch vertical, 11-foot broad jump. And not only that, when you look at the combine, you're like, okay, those are combine stats. This young man played out of his mind at Clemson, held that defense together, and is a versatile guy that can play the outside linebacker. He can drop back and play safety. He can maneuver all around. And, Coach, you've made a point, is that's almost when you talk about linebackers now, that's kind of the way you have to be to survive in the NFL. When you look at Isaiah Simmons, if New York can get him at number 4, what a steal that would be for them.
Oh, I think so too. And listen, Jim Haslett, I was talking to Jim the other night. He went to Clemson and looked at the players there, Simmons being one of them. And he said it was amazing when he's got the tape on and he sees Simmons playing linebacker. He sees him playing a defensive end. He sees him playing safety. And even in one ball game, they had him at corner. The kid is
that's insane.
It's just amazing. And he's about 200 and I think near 230 somewhere.
I think he's 239.
Yeah,
that's a big old boy.
Yeah, so it's amazing. Yeah, that would be a heck of a pick to me.
Coach, the number 5 here. That's just kind of what we've heard. Now, of course, things can change depending on what happens with Washington and other teams, the Detroit Lions, whatever they do. The Dolphins, they're the ones that started the Tank for Tua campaign earlier in the year. That has them drafting Tua Tagovailoa out of Alabama. If the Dolphins can get him at number 5 and they can save their picks, in a perfect world, this would be awesome. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to, with all the drama going on, they're going to have to trade up if they want him, Coach.
Probably have to trade up if they want him. And it's not, even if the two teams ahead and he's there, and they don't want somebody behind may move up to take him. So they got to be cognizant of that too.
Coach, the Chargers at number 6. Now, this is where Todd McShay and Mel Kiper differ here. This is where the $5,000 bet came in. Well, Todd McShay has Jordan Love going number 6 to the Chargers and has Justin Herbert dropping to 13 to the Indianapolis Colts. Now, if you're the Colts, you would love to have Justin Herbert at 13. But, Coach, when you look at this, and just from what you've seen so far, I know that when you talk about this, we haven't seen all the tape and in-depth things like this, but just from what you've seen so far and the track record these guys have, has Jordan Love jumped Justin Herbert in your mind?
No, absolutely not. In fact, right now, based on what I know, what I've seen, and what I feel, Justin Herbert would be the 3rd quarterback. 4th quarterback would probably be, based on intangibles and otherwise, from Georgia, and then Eason, and then maybe Love. So I've got him on down the list. Now they're saying word is from scouts and coaches and number of people that they're going to be at least 5 quarterbacks go in the first round, and I can certainly see that.
And that'd be crazy. Once again, we talk about this with the whole Dak Prescott situation, Tom Brady, whatever it may be. That just shows you how deep this year is.
Yeah.
We're talking about free agency to the draft. It's unlike anything we've ever seen so far. This is going to be wild. It's going to be so much fun. And remember, it's in Vegas, and almost fitting it would be in Vegas now.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, when we come back, we're going to be talking about the Florida Gators, breaking down a little bit about, their past year and how are they going to move forward. We're going to have a few tips here. We're going to have some stats for you as well of Dan Mullen and his squad. After going from 4 wins to 10 wins and 10 wins to 11 wins, they've done a great job there so far, but we're going to have a little breakdown of the recruiting and the depth chart of the upcoming season. You're not going to want to miss it. You're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on here on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Pensacola's home to hometown sports, covering the biggest high school games. UWF football, catching every game of the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. Plus, local sports commentary with the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. And weekend sports talk with Davis Allen and Justin Patrick on the Sports Call. We are local. We are ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Redbox has the newest movies fresh from the theater, plus award winners and nominees starting at under $2 a night. Now at the box and on demand, Knives Out. Nothing brings a family together like murder in this twist-filled whodunit mystery starring Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Jamie Lee Curtis, and more. Head to one of the 41,000 Redbox locations or stream instantly on demand. Prices may vary by location, subject to applicable taxes. Additional terms at redbox.com.
Let's say you just bought a house. Bad news is, you're one step closer to becoming your parents. You'll proudly mow the lawn. Ask if anybody noticed you mowed the lawn. Tell people to stay off the lawn. Compare it to your neighbor's lawn. And complain about having to mow the lawn again. Good news is, it's easy to bundle home and auto through Progressive and save on your car insurance, which, of course, will go right into the lawn. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Hey, this is Chad Brillante from the Afternoon Sports Drive, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL coach Kay Stevenson here on this Tuesday afternoon, talking some football with you. Going to break down a little bit about the Florida Gators. Now, Coach, we look at the Gators last year, and we're going to do this for some of the teams, our local teams especially, as we go through the weeks here, as we inch closer to, we've got the spring games coming up next month as well, as spring practice has started for these teams. It's getting interesting, and when you look at a team like Florida, they have a tremendous fan base. Of course, you attended Florida, Coach, played quarterback for them as well. Coach, when we talk about the Florida Gators, though, a team with Dan Mullen that had 4 wins, moved to 10 wins, which is already tough enough and a great job. Then they moved to 11 wins, just 11-2 last year, losing to LSU 42-28, a game that if you remember watching that, they were ahead for a lot of that game there until LSU exploded back, and then losing to a Georgia team 24-17, a game that when Florida goes back and looks at that film, you're just like, how did we lose that game? There's so many opportunities they had, and it was just a missed opportunity for them. Coach, when you look at this, though, Felipe Franks, was the quarterback, and that left a lot of people uneasy. They didn't want Felipe Franks to be the guy, but then again, it was what it was at the time. Felipe goes down, Kyle Trask comes in. Well, a lot of people go, well, Kyle Trask, who is this guy? Well, he's a guy that threw for 2,900 yards, 25 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, did a phenomenal job at almost 67% completion percentage with a quarterback rating of 156 here. Coach, I've got a couple things for the Florida Gators before we get started that I will say there are 5 things they need to get fixed in order for them to have the success and possibly get over that hump. Now, the SEC is a gauntlet. It's not like the ACC and some of these other conferences. When I say get over the hump here, I mean maybe win the SEC, and it's just so tough because of all the teams there. But number one, you've got to beat Georgia. You have got to get that monkey off your back if you're Dan Mullen. You know that's the guy. We talk about Georgia beating Alabama and LSU beating Alabama. That's their monkey there. Well, there you go. You got to beat Georgia. 2, you've got to play and be competitive in the SEC championship game. We've seen Florida in years past make it, and then they don't play well in the SEC championship game. You've got to be able to play well in that game. 3, the offensive line, it's got to gel better. Now, from where they used to be, Dan Mullen and his staff has done a tremendous job with that offensive line. It used to be so porous. They are getting better, but they've got to take that next step forward. Number 4, a thing that I think a lot of people didn't realize, their third down defense has to improve. We've always known Florida to have top-notch corners, great linebackers, but third down, they were 40th nationally. That is not going to get it done in the SEC. And just to give you an idea of it, when you go back to a game like Georgia, remember it was 24-17. They were 12 of 18 on third down against Georgia. That's not good. It's not going to cut it against a team like Georgia. And then number 5, I think the biggest question is, how does Kyle Trask progress? He's the man now. He knows he's the man moving forward. We've seen what Dan Mullen has done with quarterbacks. He's presumed the quarterback whisperer. Does Kyle Trask take the next step? We're seeing him in Heisman talks at this point, which is a statement of what Kyle Trask did, but also what Dan Mullen is as a coach. Coach, when we talk about this, though, those are my 5 things right there. What do you see for Florida?
Those are all very astute observations, certainly. And let me take each one. It starts with Trask. Trask settled that football team down. The other kid was just such an up and down, peaks and valley player, quarterback. And you can't have that, especially at the quarterback position. You don't want it as a team, but if your quarterback is that way, you're going to be that way as a team. You're never going to have the consistency that you need to win. You'll make the mistake somewhere along the line that'll cost you a ball game. So Trask, I think, gives them a tremendous advantage. Now, you're right, Mullen has done a good job with quarterbacks, and he's done a good job with Trask, and he'll do a better job. This is the first time, keep in mind, that Trask has had the experience in college games, and now an off season. He's never had an off season as being the guy, and the attention and the detail and the bear down that he'll get this off season. All right. And then he goes into a season where he's the man. I think he's going to have a heck of a year, and I think that's a real key for Florida. I think you're right. And, of course, obviously beating Georgia, they just got to get better overall to beat Georgia and Alabama. Probably going to have to play, if they beat Georgia, they're going to have to beat Alabama, probably. And they are LSU, but this year probably Alabama in the SEC championship game. I think you got to give it a lot of credit, quite honestly, to Todd Grantham, their defensive coordinator. I think he's done a great job while being there. Now, granted, they had some stats that you pointed out there that were a little surprising, but don't think they're not aware of them, and don't think they won't be doing something to tighten them up. I think they had a pretty good year of recruiting, JP, on defense especially, which should help them as well. And then Hervesy, with that offensive line, you correctly pointed out that they've gotten better. They were terrible. They were awful before Mullen got there. But they've gotten a little better and a little better, and now they should be on the verge of being a good SEC offensive line. And Hervesy, got to give him a lot of credit. I think he's a good offensive line coach. So what I'm talking about here, I've mentioned coaches, quarterback, offensive line, defense improved, and I think they feel pretty good about their talent level at receiver and running back as well. So if that's the case, hey, it's all on the line. Go beat Georgia, and you better be careful with these other teams now you're playing in the SEC, so you got to win them as well.
Yeah, Coach, you made a point with their recruiting class. Of course, they were a top 8 recruiting class again. as you see a lot of teams in the SEC, which is where they need to be. They need to stay right there. Remember, Dan Mullen, too, when you talk about recruiting class rankings, Dan Mullen doesn't do the prototypical, let's go get that 5-star. He has molded 2 stars and 3 stars. He picks them, handpicks them, and says, you're going to fit my system. Kyle Trask was a 2-star guy. Remember, too, you made a point, Kyle Trask is officially the man. This is the first time in college. Well, this is the first time also, even going back to high school, he was a backup to De'Aaron King all through high school. He got recruited, even if he was a backup, and that tells you the talent level right there. So he's the man now. It's going to be interesting to see how he takes this. A couple notes on here when you talk about the games upcoming this year. Just the tough games. They actually have a pretty favorable schedule. They play at Tennessee, which we'll see what happens at Tennessee this year as they take a step forward. At Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin right now, I don't think Ole Miss is going to be the team, but it's still, you're going to Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin to see how that squad is going to work out. LSU, they get LSU at home this year, which is a big thing when you talk about LSU. It seems possibly could be down. We're not sure what's going to happen. And, of course, they play Georgia and Jacksonville. Coach, when we look at this, I do want to talk about the running back position. Look, LaMichael Pirine, he's gone now. He was versatile, fantastic kid out of Theodore right over there in Mobile. A guy that rushed for 132 attempts for 676 yards. He was almost that utility guy that they used. Well, they really like Dameon Pierce. This is a guy that had over 50 attempts, averaged almost 5.6 yards a carry. That's a pretty good knock for a guy like that has over 50 attempts. They really feel like, you know what, they may almost be better at the running back position with the depth. You also have quarterback Emory Jones. This is going to be versatile as well. Malik Davis is coming back. It's just going to be interesting to see how they're going to do that. But they really like Dameon Pierce, and they believe, listen, he gets downhill a lot faster than Pirine. So that's going to fit Dan Mullen's staff. You talk about wide receiver position, Coach, they have just so much depth there, it's unbelievable. You talk about Trayvon Grimes, a senior, is coming back. Kadarius Toney is going to be out there again. Jacob Copeland, our man right here out of Escambia High School, he's going to be a star now. And the thing is Jacob Copeland, he's a guy that hasn't got his opportunity, and it's not because he's not good. It's because they've had so much talent at that wide receiver position. And you go to tight end, Coach, I think enough said. Kyle Pitts is coming back, and that is one of the best tight ends, I fully believe, in the nation. I mean, he is just such a great tight end position for. He could do so many things when you talk about blocking, passing. He's athletic enough. He's a guy that I believe we'll be talking about in next year's draft as well as one of those star tight ends that teams are looking for. So when I look at this, Coach, the Florida Gators, it's going to be tough because it's the SEC. But you get Dan Mullen another year, and Todd Grantham, I think you're right. Listen, that defense, they're going to shore that up. They've got a lot of good pieces coming in on the recruiting trail. But offensively, I think they could be a lot better this year than they were last year.
Well, I think we both feel that the future looks bright. At Florida, you've always, in the SEC, you've always got to be on guard, and you got to have some luck along with it and be fortunate with injury. But overall, I think it looks good for the Gators, and we're going to try to take a team sporadically here and there and kind of look at their schedule and so on. And we'll be doing more on the Gators later on as we go. Absolutely.
We love our local teams. Look, I'm an Oregon fan, but I grew up around Florida State, Florida, Alabama, and Auburn. I understand how all this goes. Of course, LSU winning the national championship they did last year. Listen, we're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to talk – I can't believe I'm talking about this. Dr. Owner Baker Mayfield, it seems. Oklahoma is going to unveil his statue before their spring game. And Ohio State, their assistants are making a lot more money than we are. All that and more coming back here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range, Highway 29 in Car City.
It's time for some straight talk. You know what a full court press is in basketball, right? Full defensive coverage with no holes. Well, that's the kind of coverage you get with Straight Talk Wireless. It runs on America's best 4G LTE networks, same as the big carriers, but just for a lot less. Just $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G, saving you up to half the cost of the big carriers. No contract. Full court coverage, half the cost. Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Locally owned Jackson Pace Pharmacy has exciting news for ED patients. Tadalafil, the FDA-approved generic for Cialis, is now here, and the cost savings are huge. Save 80% on the 20-milligram tablets, 30 tablets for $80, less than $3 a pill. A prescription from your doctor is required, so stop by Jackson Pace Pharmacy, 2256 West 9 Mile Road in Pensacola, and cash in on the savings today.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL coach Kay Stevenson on this last segment here. Now, we got a few minutes, Coach. I want to get into just a couple things. First, probably it's not my favorite quarterback, but Baker Mayfield. He did win the Heisman. Oklahoma is going to unveil Baker Mayfield's statue before the spring game. And to be fair, the Sooners have statues around the stadium for other Heisman winners as well. So, Coach, when you look at this, it's almost like one of those golf claps, like, yay. When you look at Baker Mayfield, just because that's the way that it sits with me, the way he's done things in the NFL right now. But I will say this, Coach, he's done a good job this offseason with keeping his mouth shut. He said he was going to keep his mouth shut, and I think he's hit that growing curve now for him.
A little bit better job with that, I agree. And no, he's had, I think, the same effect on quite a few people. But, no, he won the Heisman. He's one of the Heisman winners in Oklahoma. He deserves whatever the others get. Yeah.
Coach, I do want to get into this too. Ohio State, they have 4 assistants on staff now that will make at least $1 million this year. Defensive coordinator Kerry Combs, offensive coordinator Kevin Wilson, co-defensive coordinator Greg Madison, and defensive line coach Larry Johnson are going to make at least $1 million. What is your thoughts on that, Coach?
Wow. I'll tell you. Well, the only thing you can say is you're only worth what the market will bear, and if the market is bearing that, I guess more power to them.
That's off at this point.
Yeah.
Coach, the franchise tag deadline now moved to Monday at noon. It was scheduled for this Thursday at 4 p.m. When we look at this, it's going to be interesting because there are some players like a Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper. There's plenty of other guys that seem that they could be with the franchise, or they may be tagged. Just they're going to move it to noon. So there is some speculation there. There's some unrest with the CBA and what's going on with that as well. Of course, they extended the CBA where players could vote until Saturday now, bumping it back 2 days. It's going to be interesting when we talk about this CBA. I know we're not going to get into it because we've gotten into it so much, it seems, every day. Coach, a couple other things. Peyton Ramsey, this is a guy that was rumored possibly to go to LSU. It kind of fell off. He's transferred to Northwestern now. This is a Northwestern squad that threw for 6 touchdowns and 15 interceptions last year. Total year. You tell Joe Burrow that 6 touchdowns, he said, I had that in the first half. What are you talking about? Just crazy to think about that. Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern, fantastic coach. But, I mean, great pickup for him with getting Peyton Ramsey, but not a bright future right there when you talk about 6 touchdowns and 15 interceptions.
No, he didn't go to the most prolific passing school in the country. But I agree with you. I like Fitzgerald and is it Fitzpatrick? Anyway, the coach
Fitzgerald,
he's a good football. He was a good football player there. People forget. Heck of a linebacker.
Yeah, hard-nosed linebacker. It fits that style. Well, Coach, we've run out of time as usual. Had a couple more things to talk about, but it's been a pleasure, my friend.
You bet. Look forward to tomorrow.
Absolutely. Same time tomorrow, 12 o'clock. Talk football with Coach K. We'll be right here.
This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local